Good morning and welcome to your Tuesday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. That's a whole lot of mornings in there. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom to start your day off well. And I think you're going to enjoy this reading because there's a lot of useful, practical information in here. Good morning, Nancy. Welcome. You're the first one popping on today. Johnny on the spot there. So, what I would like to do is a little different than what we typically do. We'll start with typical, which is our breath, but then I want to share some information from a Zoom call last night with my friend and astrologer, Kayleen Welsh, and because I think it lays the groundwork for where we're going in the next while. And then the card for today lifts up some hope, which is a useful thing. A useful thing. So let us start with the breath. Nice deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. This time we're going to hold at the top, in through the nose, hold, and release. Hopefully you feel a sense of kind of settling, some grounding. Good morning, Catherine. Welcome. In through the nose, out through the mouth, grounding through your feet, into Mother Earth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Smile as you breathe. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And one more for good measure. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Awesome. Just kind of shaking off the knots. And again, I think the things that I'm going to share from the Zoom last night are going to paint the bigger picture for where we're at and where we're going. And then the card that came to us from the Earth Magic deck today by Stephen D. Farmer will, I think, support us, ease some fears, etc. So that's where we're at. So for those of you who missed this, I was on a Zoom call last night with my dear friend Kayleen Welsh. And if you want to check out her website, it's Kayleen, Kailean, Welsh, WELSH.com. And once a month we get together. Many of us who are on the calls are the women who went on the retreats, several retreats she had to Mexico, Isle of Women, Isla Mujeres, and there were there's oftentimes others on who never went on the trip, but have a connection to the group in some way or another. So actually, one of my friends from my coffee circle on Tuesday was present on the call last night. So can't wait to hear what she thought. But I'm going to give you some feedback from Kayleen, the astrologer, and then we'll do our card for today. And just notice how they fit together really lovely. So, full moon on Friday, and it's a total lunar eclipse. Basically, that is a course correct, a cosmic reboot, as Kayleen likes to call it. So we have a course correction coming. And her way of describing it, and she described it both in terms of the light and the shadow. Good morning, Chrissy K. Welcome. Glad you're here. And we know from previous rounds with other card decks that looking at the light seer part and the shadow seer part can be very helpful. So the light seer part of this upcoming eclipse on Friday is it's about the mystery and the unknown and Christ consciousness, coming into a new kind of Christ consciousness. The shadow side of all of this, excuse me, may be some confusion and doubt. Anybody there? Anybody there? And I believe there are deliberate attempts to create. Divorce is final on the 13th. Absolutely, absolutely. View it as a blessing of your partner on his way and a blessing of you on your new path. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I think you're going to love this stuff. So, we're talking about Kayleen's call last night. It was a Zoom call and astrology stuff, and the full moon, the total lunar eclipse coming on Friday, which is a course correct. Kayleen's words, a cosmic reboot. The shadow side of which is confusion and doubt. How many people kind of feel like they don't have their groundedness the way they usually do? So right now, breath in, breath out through the feet, driving your roots down into Mother Earth. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. So it's sort of like sending that tap root deep. We have all the little feeder roots that run along the surface for nourishment, but that tap root gets driven deep to give us stability when things are unstable. So she talked about Neptune coming into a place of rebirth after a long, long, long time, coming into a place of rebirth at the end of this month. And that's that new Christ energy. So there's questions I'm going to pose. And if one of you, as I pose each question, would put it in the feed, I would appreciate it, because I think these questions would be phenomenal to journal on for yourself, both pre-March 30th and post-March 30th. So Neptune coming into rebirth, so we kind of need to find our legs with this thing. So she said, we're coming into a place of inquiry. So here are a couple of the questions to put on in the feed if someone would please do so. What can I explore? What can I explore? And I'm going to suggest to us that what we're needing to explore, good morning, Barb, glad you're here, is our shadow. Most of us are like, I mean, it's shadow for a reason, right? It's what we don't want to look at. We don't want to deal with. But it is in the, good morning, Angie, welcome. Angie was on the call last night also. So I'm reiterating some of Kayleen's wisdom here, Angie. So it's called shadow because we don't want to go there. It's the parts of ourselves we've shoved off, but it is beautiful grist for our mill in terms of rising out of this 3D mucky heavy energy into a much lighter, much more flowing 5D energy. So first question, what can I explore? And again, I'm going to suggest include your shadow. Second question is, what can I ask myself? What can I ask myself, especially about your shadows? What is it I'm pretending not to know? That's my favorite question to ask a client and myself. Let's go there. Absolutely. Let's go there. What am I pretending not to know? What can I ask myself about that? She says, sort out your own shadows. Yes, 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 yes. For those of you who have, I'm actually going to do this with my coffee group today if they're interested in doing so. Those of you who have the Wild Harmonic deck, there is a shadow reading in there that is fabulous. You pull out all the shadow cards first, so you end up with two decks, the shadow deck and the not shadow deck. And then you do this reading. And the one time that I've done it for myself so far, it was really powerful. So I'm hoping that maybe the coffee group would be interested in doing that for our world, a shadow reading for our world. So here's another question that would be lovely for someone to put in the feed for us. What does my new spiritual identity look like after I do my shadow work? What does my new spiritual identity look like after I do my shadow work? And I will tell you something that I know, like I know, like I know. It ain't going to be about obligation. All right? So all of those who have done religious stuff, thank you, Abigail, I appreciate it. Many people, like I remember at one point sitting in church and the priest saying something that I found absolutely outrageous. And I elbowed my mother and I said, did you hear that? I was in high school, I believe. And she said, no, I'm making my grocery list in my head. So that was her way of coping with some of the stuff that was not in the highest and best good. Let's put it that way. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate it. What does my new spiritual identity look like after I do my shadow work? So Kayleen said, we're basically embarking on a new expression of spirituality, calling us forward to a new path. So be watching for that. Be watching for the old vestiges of, I'm going to use a word, religion, to fall away. The things that no longer serve, the things that haven't worked for a long time, falling away. Yes, what am I pretending not to know? My favorite question. And in its place, a spirituality that comes from a very different font. All right? So then here's a couple of self-care questions I'd like to pose. What does my spiritual self-care look like? What does my spiritual self-care look like? It ain't going to be doing a grocery list while I'm sitting in church hearing things I don't want to be hearing, right? And what does self-care in my shadow look like? What does self-care in my shadow look like? And it was interesting because Kayleen put up the planetary arrangements for the end of the month with the eclipse, and there were 2 houses that were jam-packed with planets. Jam-packed with planets. It actually looked real similar to my birth chart, except here the planets were off in the houses of Aries and Pisces. In my chart, they were the houses that were at the top at that point in time. And I'm terrible with my own chart. I don't remember that stuff. But I just thought it was so interesting. There were that many planets crammed into those 2 houses. So, another key message that came out of that reading for the end of the month when we do this course correct, we have the ability to do this. We have the ability to do this. Is some of this stuff going to be messy and difficult? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's going to, we need to know we have the ability to do this. And she was talking about all the messes that there are right now. And she said, there is hope under the messes. That actually came out of when she was talking about Pandora and the energy of Pandora. Pandora having been sent to Earth to mess things up. And at the very bottom of Pandora's box is hope. Is hope. So keep that in mind. So the challenge, should you choose to accept it, is how do you hold a place of faith and trust while you're being pulled out of your ego? How do you hold a place of faith and trust while you're being pulled out of your ego? Thought that was an interesting way to think about things. And do any of you feel that? I certainly feel that. Far less ego invested in, I must have recognition, I must have people know what I'm up to, much less of that and more of, I'm going about my work. Some of it's hard. I'll call on guidance when needed. I'll spend time in silence to help move where I'm meant to go. We have the ability to do this, and there is hope. She also said, make it practical and usable. So she said, we're not doing this airy-fairy thing. This makes total sense when you look at that's why I love listening to historians, because they put current stuff into, I'm glad you like that one, put current stuff into the larger fabric of history. And it's so interesting how history repeats itself. The planets right now are looking really similar to how they looked during the Civil War. Unrest, blah, blah, blah. And so her theme, Kayleen's theme, and again, if you want to check her out, KayleenWelsh.com, is look at your shadows and keep the light on. I loved that. Look at your shadows and keep the light on. A la Kayleen Welsh. So then, let's move into our card, because I think this is so helpful. Earth Magic, Stephen D. Farmer. And this deck was a little bit buried down at the bottom. But what comes up? First, I want to show you the back. I always love the back of these cards. As above, so below. As within, so without. And we have rainbow. Rainbow. blessings. Blessings. So, nice deep breath in. Out. Opening yourself for this rainbow energy. A rainbow is created by the collaboration of sunlight and water in the atmosphere. Now, collaboration is a really divine feminine word. Sunlight and water in the atmosphere. The water droplets become tiny prisms that collectively diffuse and disperse the light into ribbons of color. That is the essence of every hue we're capable of perceiving on this planet. Rainbows have diversity. Moving on. Rainbows symbolize many things, including good luck, a bridge to heaven, and abundance. It's difficult for any of us to ignore the majesty of a rainbow and the gentle power inherent in its display. It's such a simple blending of the elements, coming together in perfect visual harmony to create one of the most beautiful sights in all of creation. Although there are diverse meanings attributed to the sight of a rainbow, a common thread is that it offers blessings. So as we're working our way through this arduous time and this dense energy and the confusion and the doubt, the rainbow is waiting. The blessings are there. The artist of this image created this rainbow to commemorate a friend who had just died. She worked on it whenever she felt her love and appreciation for her friend, the blessings he brought to the world and to her life, often after a spell of tearful grief. We need to allow the grief as well. And so here's the message part for us. Breathe it in. This is hearkening to our future. The storm has passed, and it is time to enjoy the refreshing beauty of this cycle. Even though it has been difficult to appreciate any sense of purposefulness in what you have endured lately, you can now, as they say, count your blessings. And here's a caveat, so take this one in deeply, please. Do not just look to the brighter side, adhering to some academic mantra that has no heart or depth, but do so slowly and with genuine gratitude that is expressed up close and personal. So I think that holds for this process we're going through right now. Be willing to do your deep dive into the shadow. Be willing to mine that darkness, because that's what sets us up to create a new world that is not that dense and dark and painful and shitty. This ever-evolving process of life itself is a blessing, an opportunity to exist as a human being on Earth. The planet is a beautiful garden, even if it does not always appear to be so. Sometimes it is only when you look back at a memory of an event or experience that you can truly see the blessings that have come from them. Bless your difficult and painful experiences and let them go. Bless your difficult and painful experiences and let them go. Breathe your way through the current ones. Think of this as birthing. There's upheaval going on, there's devastation going on, and out of that will rise the phoenix. We need to be in as high a vibration space as we can be. We need to not be doom scrolling. We need to be paying attention. And it's forming in my head at this point, one for me, which is I need to create a drawing of what it is I want. I have pictures, I have photographs, and I have artist renderings, etc. But I need to create a drawing of what it is I'm here to create. It'll come when it's divine right timing and divine right order. It'll flow. But for now, again, muster your courage, walk through this darkness, do what needs to be done globally and locally. Speak your truth, keep moving forward. Eventually we get to the rainbow and the blessings. Have an awesome day. And every day there are rainbow blessings. Look for them, find them. Yesterday it was sitting at the park with Diane. The weather was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. A bazillion dogs were out, a bazillion kids were out. That was another gift. That was another gift. Look for the gifts. Have an awesome day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye-bye.